We believe the process by which the ordinance was enforced and enacted today went very well. While we understand there may be people who express themselves and may differ and disagree with the ordinance, we believe the process in this case was a good one. We achieved voluntary compliance, which we believe would happen from the beginning. The people involved with Occupy Charlotte from the beginning have been, for the most part, peaceful, nonviolent, just want to get their message across. We were able to give multiple advisories, speaking to which, what times and when and what parts of the ordinance would be enforced. Today at about 2:30 p.m. We entered into the 601 or the 600 East Trade Street site and removed the tents that were in violation of the city ordinance. We have now cleared out the temporary shelters that were in violation of the ordinance, and of course, as it has always been, the Occupy Charlotte people are still free, and for that matter, anyone are free to protest on that site, just not with the temporary shelters as prohibited by the ordinance.
How many people were arrested?
We had 7 arrests, all were for resist obstructed lay. All of those were inside the tents and would not exit upon order by officers.
Comparing some of the other disturbances in Oakland and other places, how good do you all feel that for the most part it wasn't, didn't get violent, and police officers did not take an extra step in removing those people today from the site?
Right, and I want to emphasize 2 things. You have to remember and understand, though, the protesters are very serious and believe in their cause deeply. They were able to exercise restraint and follow the orders of the officers there, all but the 7 who were arrested and who all demonstrated passively. And then, of course, our viewpoint is that our target was to achieve voluntary compliance. We were able to do so.
Where do we go from here in terms of the rest of the afternoon and evening and making sure that they don't come back and try to set up tents again?
Like we have from the beginning, we'll do a very, very small monitoring as we would any other public forum site when someone is protesting.
Can you help us understand how the tents violate the ordinance if people are not using them to sleep or live in?
Right, the ordinance is clear under the definition piece of the ordinance. It explains out what is prohibited, and that is what determined whether or not a temporary shelter was in violation or not.
But can you explain simply what the ordinance says about what is allowed and what is not allowed?
Yeah, the ordinance, without quoting verbatim, just says that any temporary shelter that used for the purpose of sleeping or any type of activity towards camping is prohibited.
So it's based on the previous sleeping that had been done in it up to that point, not necessarily that they were going to sleep in it.
What this shelter is used for is the best definition I can give you based on the ordinance.
How many officers would you say roughly were involved today?
I don't know. I don't have a good solid number for you. Dozens would be appropriate.
If the group Occupy or another group wanted to put up a similar, there was one structure left remaining, if they wanted to put up a new similar structure or another group wanted to do that next door or behind it, would that be permissible?
Any group that chooses to hand out literature and would need a covering such as that one while in the process of handing out information or any type of literature would be permitted. This isn't a just for Occupy, it's for all people.
Could Occupy do a second one, in theory, like if they had needed extra room, or would that be?
Again, the one that they have is permissible. I couldn't speak to other shelters that I haven't seen or don't know the purpose for.
Does the police chief or the city attorney, or who's responsible for deciding if something is in violation of the ordinance?
Well, again, it's up to each individual circumstance and situation. And of course, you understand that the city ordinance lays out who is able to enforce that ordinance, and any law enforcement officer is able to enforce the ordinance as they see it.
Did you guys have any uses of force?
No, we did not.
Any other questions? What are those 7 charged with?
Resist obstruction of lay, law enforcement officers in the discharge of their duties.
Misdemeanor?
Yes, misdemeanors.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Was that, is this
existing